today, we're going to be asking the burning question, which is, Timothée Chalamet, why exactly is this guy a star? Well, here we are. This is something which is very interesting, which we've been doing recently, which is to basically take an actor and actually try and work out why the hell they have the success that they're having, and they will continue to have, and try and work out how we can learn something from it.
Learn, and also, try to define what is this question, which seems that nobody knows how to answer, and is why someone is a good actor. It's something that we've been developing, as you know, for more than, I don't know.
It's getting for 25 years now or something.
25 years. 25 years, and also, being being actors ourselves, we've been also faced with the good acting every day, and I think we didn't do too bad. Anyway, 27 movies as a lead, you some of it too. We are here just to to talk about something that we understand, we think, profoundly. It's very hard to pin why someone is a good actor. People just say, well, I like it, I don't like it. And these conversations are between executives, between producers, between directors. Is really, even in our profession, we don't know what is this criteria of quality for an actor. We can more or less understand other criteria for quality for technical stuff, but when it arrives to an actor, everyone is, like we say in Spanish, despistado.
Distracted. That's what she's trying to say. Really, one of the things that we're attempting to explore here is to find out what they do differently, what perhaps they even do better than other people. And if we can understand what it is that they're doing, then perhaps we can recreate it and do it ourselves. Timothée Chalamet, who's still a very young man, I don't think he's in his early 20s, he had the benefit of growing up in an actors collective, an artist collective in a whole building in New York. His father was French, his mother was American. I believe his father's an artist of sorts. So he had this great advantage where he grew up surrounded by artistic people. What does that give us? Well, it gives us a degree of mobility of thought, mobility of status. It gives us a degree of sensitivity if somebody's smart enough to work out what it is. And also from a very early age, and this is something we're going to see from these three pieces that we're going to show, two, they all have something in common, really, which is they are effectively theatre acting, but theatre acting on camera. Two of them are specifically for theatre, but they're recorded, they're shot, but they still work as far as I'm concerned. And the first one we're going to start with is one from a film. And this is a piece of text where...
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I would like to add just that one of the things that I observed that people don't have when you have this family of artists is the fear. You don't have fear because you know that your parents, had more or less, be able to feed you, and this fear of uncertainty, it becomes, a creative impulse to do better. And that is something that a lot of people backs up when you have early in the career, because, you like it, but you see, okay, that is too complicated. It's complicated, it's true that it's complicated, but find good work in all professions is complicated, and nothing is sure, nothing is safe forever, and more now. So let's try to have, with the example of Timothée, let's reject this idea of fear in our profession, because that really doesn't give us anything. They take us away a lot of nice considerations that we might have, and it reduces us to paralyzes. Fear is what it does to you.
Look, I just discovered he's much older than I thought he was.
He's 30, yeah.
Well, no, he's not 30 yet. He was born in 1995. Which means he's like 28. But this is the amazing thing. He's still playing teenagers.
Yes, they're still playing teenagers. It's interesting because I think that there is an aspect of people that they had been around creativity in their houses where this idea of adolescence, this idea of creativity, surprise, it gets out more easily. Let's say you don't think so?
I certainly think it's an enormous advantage to grow up around creative people. If nothing else, then you feel that you are being creatively challenged. I think there's a tendency when you're growing up in something which is a desert of creativity that you have a tendency to be a very tall flower that gets cut down very quickly. But I think when you find yourself in this bristling garden, what you do is you are measuring yourself by other people, and they themselves, as they grow around you, are forcing you to grow taller. Just to stretch my gardening metaphor even further. And I think that's certainly, I think for some people it can be a great advantage. For some people it can be quite destructive. To be surrounded by creative people, particularly if people are not of that particular bent. If they are not in and of themselves creative or artistic people.
I don't know. I think that is, if they are not creative, you mean, but they are in a creative environment.
Yes, yeah. I don't think it's. I think it must be if you're in a building filled with artists, actors, musicians, painters, sculptors. I think if your ambition in life is to be an accountant, it might have a negative effect.
Yes, of course. Yes. Of course, I like also the contrary when you are, in a world of accountancy.
Well, the other thing is, I'm sure a place like that doesn't create many brain surgeons. Not say it won't, but I think that's one of the things which is so important in education is that people have the opportunity to, because theatre classes, we were talking about this the other day. Theatre classes, acting, performance, all of those sorts of things are very, very useful for virtually anybody in any aspect of their lives. That's something that we can't let go.
But getting back to the actual title, why is he a star?
Yeah.
We recently, you point out perhaps 2 or 3, 4 weeks ago about this. There is no stars anymore. Remember, Scott, that you were saying? So that there's people who are hot. There's people who are very good actors that they seem to reoccur over and over and over again in films that we see in cinemas, and for the most part that we see on our widescreen, big screen TVs at home. Yeah, it's what we call in Spanish. They have a name.
Yeah, it's also what you call in English.
Okay.
They've got a name.
It
works both ways.
Yeah.
But the idea of there's nobody going, I'm going to go and see the Timothée Chalamet movie. Like, for example, he's about to do this Willy Wonka film, which is huge budget, sort of comedy, kids movie type thing. The last person who did it was Johnny Depp, and the person who did it before that was Gene Wilder, based on a Roald Dahl book, or at least a character created by Roald Dahl. Well, let's see what happens. Let's see if everybody flocks to see him. The trouble is that it doesn't really happen yet, and he's got his name above the title in this film. Mm-hmm. So this is a bit make or break. The trouble is that he's coming out in exactly the wrong moment to bring out a big budget movie. All it needs to do is to put a foot out of place, put a foot wrong, and it'll turn into an abject disaster, and nobody will go see it. Because people have zero tolerance for nonsense these days.
Yes.
We've seen Wish, the latest Disney film, just got terribly reviewed and is doing badly at box office. The Marvels, well, that deserves a live stream all of its own, or at least a video on it for sure. Then we've also got, Doctor Who has just fallen on its own sword. It's one thing after another.
Yes.
All of it pointed out by South Park's rather brilliant Pandaverse, which basically is illustrating how Disney, Kathleen Kennedy, allegedly, have assassinated the Disney, the Marvel, the Star Wars brands simultaneously and killed all the princesses to boot. Okay, so people are pretty tired of it right
picky
now
these days, in the sense that they don't tolerate nonsense, and I think that this is also a symptom also of our society, is a way of expressing what they feel, about some politics or about this correctness and whatever, and that is as the movie people are the ones that we are like kind of the thermometer for that.
We are the canaries in the coal mine. Do you have that expression?
No.
The canaries in the coal mine.
No,
You don't know that? So a canary is a type of bird. You put it in a cage. And it's very sensitive to changes in atmosphere. So if there was any poisonous gases down there, the canary would die. You drop the canary down into the coal mine. You bring it back up. If the canary's dead, there's no air to breathe.
Okay.
Thus, the canary in the coal mine. So
there is no star. It's also not a period for stars. Studios are not really dedicated themselves like they were in the past to really arise the stars. Things had changed a lot. The distribution in platforms makes everybody more horizontal, less. But still there is a contradiction where people want to see stars. It's an interesting dilemma for these years to come. Because if franchises have failed, then and also we are not creating these star systems. How we are going to promote and really maintain, the 300 movies that they do a year in America.
It's much more than 300.
300, much more?
Much more.
How much?
Thousands.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought that was less.
No. We're talking about thousands of movies.
Okay.
There might be 300 you hear of.
Yeah.
But in actual fact, there's many more.
Might be that. Why
many more. Because
might.
So one of the things that we're going to be looking at today, which is interesting because the other day we were talking about the film The King, which is based on history and Henry V, as written by William Shakespeare back in the day, which stars Timothée Chalamet. And we can confirm that Timothée Chalamet is pretty rubbish in that film. It doesn't work because he is corseted by the script, he is corseted by the accent, and he's also corseted by the idea that he has to play a single status from beginning to end.
I think he's also corseted by the director. You can see there a firm hand, and you can see that in some movies. When not that much now, but you could see that in the 80s and 90s. Now it's a little bit different, but yes, I corseted in the sense that he really. The entire movie is dominated by ideas of the director who has a vision, and this vision, of course, you have to be really pretty good to compete with Shakespeare, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's one of the things. It's something that we see a lot in storytelling these days. It's what I would call a Gnostic story. Gnostic with a G. The Gnostics were the original Christian cult, and they broke away from what would be mainstream Christianity. And the point is that they didn't know what they wanted. They just didn't want that. And that's something that you see a lot in storytelling these days. It's what do you want to say? It's like, I don't know what we want to say. We just don't want to say what they said before.
Well, it's curious. I had an interview today, and we were speaking about that. We were speaking about, the reaction of things instead of the action of things. Really, I think all the feminist movements, all this idea of breaking walls and is good, but then you have to not only go against of something or someone, but also create things that on your own way that they are really better than the other ones that we had before. Because if we repeat the same errors, then nothing has changed, nothing had moved, and nothing really is interesting anymore.
Yeah, well, that's one of the problems that we got in storytelling right now, is a degree of stagnation.
Yeah.
So why don't we go and
let's go. Yeah.
Let's go and have a look at this first piece, which is from a movie called Miss Stevens, and this is very interesting because this is the character performing a speech from Death of a Salesman by Arthur Miller on stage in a small theatre. One of the reasons it's so interesting is because this performance would work just as well on a stage, which we will see in the next few clips after this, as it does on camera. Now, everybody says that acting for stage and acting for camera is different. It is in many aspects, mainly got to do with the size of the window through which the audience is looking at us. But apart from that, the actual fundamentals are identical. And one of the things we'll see in the second clip is the stagecraft, as we like to call it in English. Normally in Spanish, I have difficulty técnica teatral. I have difficulty trying to find a word which is as elegant as stagecraft that he has in spades. When he did this film, this was 2017, so he would have been 22 years old, but he's obviously playing somebody much younger, which is, and of itself, quite impressive. But anyway, let's go ahead and watch it, because let me just see. Let me just cue this up here. Okay, so there we go. I'll do that one afterwards, because there we go.
You're gonna hear the truth. What you are and what I am. We never told the truth for 10 minutes in this house. Well, hear this, Willie. This is me. You want to know why I had no address for 3 months? It's because I stole a suit in Kansas City and I was in jail. I stole myself out of every good job since high school, and I never got anywhere. Because you blew me so full of hot air.
I just got to say that when I saw this, when I first heard his name and I went looking for him on YouTube, this is the first thing I saw. And my question was, who is this kid? Where did he come from? And how did he suddenly get so big so soon? And does he merit it? And then I saw this and I realized that he did.
That he did what?
That he was worthy of it. That he was worthy to all of a sudden have the status that he had. That he just came from literally nowhere. He'd been working away. He'd been doing stuff. He's an Interstellar. He obviously had a good agent. What I saw when I watched it, obviously other people had seen first. This is the other great... let me tell you a big secret about being an actor. Do you know what the secret to success is? It's to be really good at what you do. That's what the secret is. Just to be really good at what you do. What we're trying to do is to work out how you get to be really good at what you do.
But let's see what Timothy does there in that little clip. Let's put it in the beginning and let's analyze it as much as we can.
Okay, so.
No, first of all, he also.
And I don't want to.
I don't know exactly how is the play, but he is already in an emotional state. So it's not something that in theater is, of course, much easier because, you have more time, it's your own time, and nobody is saying right now. You know that is right now, and you prepare yourself for the moment. Here, he already reached an emotional state. That means that is a moment when you do all this work to get there at the 100% of what you are, which is moved, which is in tears when you have all this, then technique has to really put you in the place that he is. And I want to share with you not only that fact that he already is in an emotional state to get what he does, to do what he does, but also that he what these are the tricks, or to be able to find this authenticity that we can find when we look at him. What are the peaks of this authenticity?
The things to look out for here, just to give you an idea of the inside baseball of all of this, of really the things that we look at in an actor that people are impressed by, are touched by, are moved by, are, how would I say, surprised by. Those things happen and people don't realize what they are. We're going to go in and we're going to explain what those things are. And if you understand what they are, then perhaps you can recreate them, or at least recognize them in other people when it happens. The first thing that you see here is the courageousness that he has, right? This is a bit of a, screw you kind of speech, right? Screw you kind of speech in the context of the movie, and a screw you kind of speech in the context of the play itself. But more than that, it's not a screw you speech so much as a screw me speech, right? Okay. So that's a consideration. That's something that we have to take into account that he's doing here.
That is the plan. Let's say
that's
the plan.
That's the plan. And the whole thing is, if you can imagine, if there was like a super objective that's going on here, it's, let me tell you something.
Let me tell you the truth about myself, no?
Let me tell you. Let me just lay it out for you.
Sí.
Let me just confess everything to you right now and welcome your scorn. Okay.
What is interesting, going back to the emotional state, is that it's very easy for an actor when they reach this emotional state, just forget the need of communicating to the other person, because you are worried to get, or you are to get into that space where you still can feel the emotion coming to you. And that is something that the normal people don't do, and he doesn't do it. He's not driven by the emotional state that he had created for himself. He always has very present on all his speech the need of communicating. I've seen some self-indulgent pieces on acting when you are in this emotional state that it really pushes you away from the authenticity of the moment. So that is also is a good value, great value, that once that you understood that, then you understand that who has to cry is not you, by the audience. And the strength of not crying but having this emotional state is what also moves us and interests us, because we recognize ourselves. We really are in this process of mirror neurons that we can recognize ourselves, this fight for communicating something even if we cannot. And that makes it more moving, of course, to us, which is, if not, is, I don't know, how you say it, a self-indulgent process where you simply are, in your emotional state without this need of communicate. No?
Okay, let's go back.
You're going to hear the truth. What you are and what I am. We never told the truth for 10 minutes in this house. Well, hear this, Willie. This is me.
Declaration. One of the things we talk about in terms of the basis of all acting is decide what you're doing with any given thing. I was working with somebody today, and the idea is not that you're going to come up with absolutely everything you're going to do, but you need to have a plan. You need to have a place where you're going to hit the ball in the right direction. You need to have somewhere that you're going, because if you don't have a plan, remember, a bad plan is better than no plan at all. At least if you got a plan, you can change it, you can mutate it, and at least you'll be in contact with what it is you're trying to do and what you're trying to achieve. That's the story there.
No, and to have a plan is also makes you safe, makes you sure of yourself, because you have an objective, a drive, something that you set up to do, that you are happy with, that you had worked on it, and that you see that works. So plan is better than any plan at all.
Yeah,
even a bad plan.
You want to know why I had no address for 3 months? It's because I stole a suit in Kansas City, and I was in jail.
Okay. This is something that we talk about sometimes, which is the importance of the relationship we have with what we're talking about. It's impossible, because his action here is a confession. But it's not just the confession, it's the relationship he had with what he did. I stole a suit in Kansas City and I was in jail. Right? He's not proud of it. He's not happy about it. It's a confession like, about something which is embarrassing and pathetic to him. And thus, we see that relationship he has with what he's saying. This is one of the things that we put on our list that's important for us as actors, that when we're saying something, that we have a relationship to it. And if we don't have a relationship to it, which we do sometimes, we say things that we're not sure what a relationship is, and that's usually because we're saying it because we're trying to find out what it means to us.
Yes, that is the principle of Van Rynvold, isn't it?
That's the Van Rynvold principle. That's the Van Rynvold principle.
In our book, because, we talk about that, about, a series of books that we think that we're going to publish this year. So, also another thing that we would like to see in good acting is when you talk, not only that what is the relationship when you are talking, that's a principle, but also other laws like the three entities. Whatever you speak, you are relating to someone, okay, to yourself, or to the gods, to the explanation of things that they don't have explanation for you. So those are the three things that how you can separate also text when you analyze it, and that forms part also of your plan. And he does it all the time.
It's one of those things that we've talked about, this fixed stare that you very often see actors, that they're acting and then they are acting with another person and they speak to the other person and then the text comes out and all they do is they lock eyes with the other person. The fact of the matter is, and the truth of it is, and it's something that you see a lot in YouTube videos where somebody's speaking to you like that and they're blah blah. The reason is because they're reading their lines off a teleprompter. We're not reading our lines off a teleprompter, are we?
No,
I don't think so. So what happens in that particular case is that when you're trying to come up with the correct words to say, or you're looking for the perfect phrasing of an idea, is that it's almost impossible to look directly into the eyes of the other person. In fact, according to scientific studies, it's not possible to, it's not in general, it's not that it's not possible, it's not normal to hold anybody's gaze for any more than 4.2 seconds. Plus, 3.2 seconds, plus or minus a second. Men hold women's gazes a little bit longer, and women have a tendency to look at the eye which is on the left of them. Nobody knows why. They stare there more than any other part of the face. Curious, no? If you look somebody in the eye for more than 4.2 seconds, it's considered to be kiss or kill. Either you're going to go and kiss them, or you're either being intimidated or you are intimidating somebody else. That's just one of those things. Now, one of the great ways to avoid that is to know that we speak to other people, we speak to ourselves, and we speak to the gods. Now, I don't care how atheist you are. You speak to something external which is invisible and not present. This may have something to do with our relationship, how we perceive ourselves in the context of the universe. I don't know about that. It might have something to do with the idea that we are always conscious that somebody, even if it's inside our own head, is watching us. It's a kind of curious way of looking at things, but it's definitely a phenomenon, and it's definitely something that we all do.
We do all the time. Is when we don't have explanation, when the world is against us, when we don't want, we don't, we try to see in our experience what the was, but we have it there in a confusion. There is when also we talk to this God. It's
also, I always say that sarcasm is nothing more than telling God a joke.
Yes.
Yeah, it sort of seems to be right there. Let's keep going. So what we've already seen is his
courage, his commitment,
and his overall thing is, let me tell you something. Okay, so
this
we have
honesty.
We have this confession that's going on there, and the relationship with what he's telling us.
I stole myself out of every good job since high school, and I never got anywhere. Because you blew me so full of hot air, I could never stand taking orders from anybody. That's whose fault it is. It's goddamn time you heard that, Pop.
Is justification?
Yep. Accusation?
Justification.
Very clearly.
And you see, when he speaks to himself, you see he had chosen a place where it's very distinctive, that is also something to do in camera, which is away from the gaze of the other, away from these explanations, but is something there, which is your world, where you are asking things, remembering things, that is your world.
The other thing that's going on here, which is interesting, because it's very difficult to do theatre on camera, and all the examples we have today are theatre on camera. There's a reason I chose that, is because he is running the show. The other thing which is very important that we have sometimes as actors and actors forget is that we want the actor in front of us to accept our attention, be conscious of it, and share things with us. Mm-hmm. Okay, on the stage, this comes down to including the rest of the audience, and on camera, this comes down to including the camera as part of where we're going to share things, or where we're going to hide things, which is another way of looking at it. We're going to hide what we think and feel in the camera. Okay, that's an important consideration.
Here, the camera and the audience is more or less the same, right? The camera is when he looks directly, to the person. He placed the person who is speaking exactly, in the center of a stage, which is interesting because that's what you would do also with a camera, right? And is the only way really that they can see you. So it's intuitively right, and people accept that, right?
Yeah. Okay, let's keep going.
I ran down 11 flights with a pen in my hand today. Suddenly I stopped. You hear me? And in the middle of that office building, do you hear this? I stopped in the middle of the building, and I saw the sky.
It's interesting. Also, his choice is something that we said also in Spanish. If he has there an effect, a trick. How you say that? He was planned, right? Which is to really have this effect of when he says
the sky.
The sky. Before that, he has this punching line it comes from out of nowhere.
Did you hear me?
Do you hear me? Which is also interesting. I don't know how it was in the script, but I suppose that the way he does it is really because he's preparing for the after effect, the effect that after is gonna have. Let's watch it a little bit too.
The other thing which is interesting, Kay, is which is about the sort of the syncopation of action and thought, and also physicality we have here, which is the idea of sky comes in before the word sky. Mm-hmm. Okay, which is
I saw all the
it's the sort of thing that happens to you without. Let me go here.
Do you hear this?
That is the out of nowhere.
I stopped in the middle of the building, and I saw the sky. I saw all the things that I love in this world, just the work and the food. Time to just sit and smoke. I looked at the pen, and I thought to myself, what the hell am I grabbing this for, huh? Why am I trying to become what I don't want to be? What am I doing in an office making a contemptuous, begging fool of myself when all that I want is out there, waiting for me the second I say I know who I am? Why can't I say that, Willie? Pop, look at me. I'm a dime a dozen. And so are you. I'm not a leader of men, Willie. And neither are you. You were never anything but a hard-working drummer who landed in the ash can like all the rest of them. And me? I'm $1 an hour, Willie. I tried 7 states. I couldn't raise it. $1 an hour. Do you gather my meaning, huh? I'm not bringing home prizes anymore. You gotta stop waiting for me to bring them home, Pop. I'm nothing.
Well, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
What we have here, I mean, obviously contextually, what it is about a young man who's never been anything that his father ever wanted him to be, and all his father wanted him to be was to be greater than him.
Mm-hmm.
That's all we've got. He's an everyday guy. There's nothing exceptional, which is extraordinary because it's a beautiful piece of writing about that very thing. It's an exceptional piece of writing about being unexceptional. You know, and it's also a beautifully performed moment, you know, by an exceptional actor, exceptional and young actor playing much younger than himself. And there's a rawness there. Now, what's raw? Okay, that's one of those words that people use, raw. What's raw? Raw is the shameless and valiant playing of something without caring what anybody thinks of it. And you're not doing it to impress anybody. You're doing it because that's where the action leads you. That's what you've decided to do. Can you hear me? That's when he screams that there. Right? There's the scream is not just to his father, it's to himself, it's to the gods, it's to everything all at the same time. Right? And that's where he comes in. And so what did I see? I came down there and I saw the sky. Which is, what is he saying? He's saying, I saw everything that wasn't there. Okay? Now, because it's so well done and we buy it 100%, that allows us to go and dream on it, to imbue it, that means to drink, imbue it with the meaning that we find in it.
Yes.
And then that's not through him showing us the meaning of it or demonstrating it. He's presenting it in such a way as that we believe it, and that gives us, you know, what Bertolt Brecht called aesthetic distance, gives us the opportunity to find further meaning in it. Yeah.
But that is also a plus on his behalf of really giving the time for the for the viewer to actually, you know, have some answers, have some questions, right? If you are so worried to get this monologue out of your mind, you're never going to have this time and this control and this control of the people that they are, you know, with you, because you don't leave them the space to be able to complete your thought. And that is something that he does very well, and is something that that you learn probably much farther away in your career, and he already has it. So, you know, this control of you know, of the audience really, and he knows that it's not boring them. He's not afraid of having a space between phrases, between words, his own space. And by that he puts it to work. He puts us to work, which is what we want, really. You know, if someone does all the work for you, if an actor does all the work for you, so he exactly sees what exactly you are seeing as, you know, what this other person does all the time, then doesn't have really a space for the spectator, for the viewer to actual, you know, have their own thoughts. You know, you force him to follow something, and instead, you know, he gives enough space for the audience to be able to dream about, you know, whatever he sees and what he means to him, to the single person there, no, and what exactly is that what he's talking about, and they are trying to see if what they really, you know, they really touch them is something that is the same thing that he's touched by. So, you know, is this, it produces this space for the mirror neurons being very very active, because it gives you, you know, the time. He gives you the time. So that is something that is this controlling the tempo, controlling the time for an actor. I think that it gets, you know, very interesting when you get, your 30s. But he it's much younger.
Yeah, it's interesting also because there's no moment where he's actually asking for pity.
Mm-hmm.
There's a certain thing that happens when people don't ask for pity, they receive it. They receive it in a much more profound way.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to the one which is from a play called Prodigal Son by John Patrick Shanley, which is an autobiographical piece about the playwright when he was at school, and obviously an exceptional young man, but the teachers didn't manage to see it. So that's one of the issues we've got here. So let's go ahead and watch this. This is also interesting. This is a recording of the play, which I discovered, which is pretty interesting. Let me just go back to here. So what's interesting here is how dynamic his performance is. He's playing another angry young man, as it were. But what's interesting to take into consideration here, this is a stage play which is being filmed, and also he's taking into consideration the audience. You can see his stagecraft, which is very highly developed. Here he must be, this is 2016, so that makes him 21 years old. Obviously playing somebody else who's very young again, which is certainly something he's used to his advantage. A little bit like Leonardo DiCaprio when he kicked off.
Exactly.
He would be considered to be, if this was the 90s, he would be the Leonardo DiCaprio of his day, as it were. Let's watch it.
School! You are here because I've given you an opportunity.
Why is it your school? Why am I always in the wrong? Why do I have to listen to you when you have zero to say? Because I'm young? All my life I've been young, so I never get a turn. This school...
Great stagecraft, opening himself to the audience, sharing it with the other side of the audience. You see, that's what he's doing there. This is something that we learn almost as a joke when we were in drama school, which is the idea that you would bring something around to the rest of the audience.
Yes, another trick.
And it's something which is very hard to teach people when they're not in a theatre.
Or direct. It's, yeah.
Well, you can say, but it's one of those things. I would say share it with share the love, baby. Share it with, and it's not, depending on the theatre, sometimes your theatres are very, very tall. You've got to share it with the people who are up there and what we call, ironically, the gods. Okay, well, let's keep going.
School is lost. If you ask me, you're lost. Everybody talks to me like I'm the one. I should change. Why should I change? I've never even got to find out who I am. You want me to change? That's crazy. You tell me I'm bad before I even get to be anything. What the hell is that? Original sin or something? I read Plato. I read him on a park bench in the Bronx. Let me tell you something. Plato, he wasn't afraid. Diogenes, he wasn't afraid. Socrates, he wasn't afraid of anything. They were men. Why are you the headmaster, not the student? Do you understand? I have to earn your respect, but you don't have to earn mine. What is that? It's you that wants to A before you even start. But when I say I want the same thing, I'm nuts, right? I'm not gonna cry. I'm gonna find my place in this world. Count on it. This school's been a miracle for me, but not because of you. Because somebody, Mr. Hoffman, finally saw me. And more than that, somebody, a grown person, decided I was good before I was good.
He's good. A grown person decided I was good before I was good.
Yeah, it's you have to say it. You have to say this phrase.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And it's very clear and it's very direct, and he takes care that this phrase is really flourishes in the middle of the speech, which is also a trick of magic, of a magician. Let's see how he does it. Let's do it a little bit more before.
And you want to throw me out of that?
Well, I love it when he says, "I'm not going to cry."
Yeah. Yeah.
Student, do you understand? I have to earn your respect, but you don't have to earn mine. What is that? It's you that wants to A before you even start. But when I say I want the same thing, I'm nuts, right? I'm not gonna cry. I'm gonna find my
That's when we understand that the microphones are on this floor.
Yeah.
place in this world. Count on it. This school's been a miracle for me, but not because of you. Because somebody, Mr. Hoffman, finally saw me. And more than that, somebody, a grown person, decided I was good before I was good. And you want to throw me out of that? Then you know what I say. I've never met your God, and I don't want to.
Great stuff. This is something which is, a lot of the time people ask us in their reels, should I put something from theatre in it? In general, no. The thing that works here is that we're conscious that it's shot with more than one camera. That's one thing. And the other thing is that we're conscious that the audience is present. Okay. Mm-hmm. Also, the way it sounds, we're hearing natural sound. We're not hearing. They're not wearing microphones, as it were. So we're in the space, which is another important thing. So we hear the technique. So we've got various different levels of real, and also we've got acting, which is very uninflected and very direct.
Yes, and also tricks of of an actor that you don't expect to have that in a boy. There is also things that he does and these tricks, which is when you emphasize something, the way of emphasizing something. No, one can be raising the voice in a certain point. The other one is to prepare for this bit, which with a pause, and the other one is Scott.
Sorry,
3 ways of emphasizing something.
The 3 ways to emphasize something are you go higher, you go stronger, or you leave space around it.
Exactly. Higher, stronger, and leave space about it.
That's how it works in English.
And
I do all the time in Spanish. Yeah. But also the other thing that it is he glosses over the thing. I'm not going to cry. He goes straight. I'm not going to cry. And then he keeps going. So that's the other thing. This is the syncopation. This is the jazz of acting.
Yes.
Okay? The jazz of acting in the sense that it's the complete commitment to the melody that you're playing, but you're finding the rhythm and the pace and the action around it, the accusation that he does here. The when it's outward, when it's inward, when it's to somebody who's not even present, to include somebody who's not even there. That's, there's another thing that's going on there. There's the one of the hardest things to give an actor, and we've taught, close to 20,000 hours. One of the toughest things to give an actor is courage. I mean, you can ask people to be courageous all day. I mean, you can take people to the edge of the high board, but they got to jump. The one thing that we have to assure everybody is, don't worry, you won't hurt yourself. The worst thing that can happen is you can make an idiot of yourself, but who's looking? Apart from everybody. That's kind of what you need to do. It's something that we talked about the other day, that Gary Oldman, when he was asked what was the secret of good acting, he simply said, you just have to be not afraid to get your hands dirty. Mm-hmm. And there's a certain element to that we have to sacrifice ourselves on the altar of doing what seems to be the right thing to do at any given point. Mm-hmm. This is why it's important to, whenever you approach anything, go, what am I doing? Who am I talking to? What am I going to find in there? And you have to start on that level. And then once you've got that plan, everything else will begin to hopefully fall into place. It's interesting. Both of these pieces are extremely showy. Not as showy as the last one that we're going to put on, but they're very showy in the sense that you go, wow, he really knows what he's doing. There's a terror that the actor finds when they read a piece of text and they go, oh my God, this is good. Right? The fear that we have is that, can we make this as good as we imagine it to be? No?
Yes.
Because inside our heads we have the perfect and most elegant and, how would you
personal
say?
and creative,
dynamic acting you could possibly imagine.
Yes, of that particular piece, That's
the only reason we can watch movie and we can read a script, a film script or a play script. That's the only reason we can read it. It's because we've got the actor going on in our heads. It's also one of the reasons why it's much more difficult to read a play, is because the uninflected word on the page with very little indication of what is physically happening in the space, which is the majority of plays, particularly classical plays, we're going, what the hell's going on here? So we're not only attempting to act the play in our head, we're also attempting to direct it. Okay, and that's kind of complicated. In case we haven't noticed, it takes a few weeks to work out how the play actually works on its feet. But when you read it, you're supposed to imagine it perfectly from the get-go. Mm-hmm. That's one of the complicated things about reading plays. So whenever somebody goes, I don't like reading plays. I hate reading plays. It's really hard to read plays. When we wrote our play last year, one of the things we did is we made it readable. Why? Because we needed to read it. Mm-hmm. It's one of those things when you see the play, it's just, where we are, who's there, and then dialogue. Mm-hmm. Right? That's what plays are normally. The trouble for us is that we realized that there was going to be many elements in the piece on stage, and it was a big stage. It was about 60 yards wide. Took 45 seconds to walk across it. The auditorium held 3,000 people. The theatre was built 68 years before the birth of Christ, just to give you an idea. One of the things that we realized is that people needed to be able to read it and understand it without having it explained.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's one of the problems that you go, when people go, yeah, I don't get this bit. Well, you don't get this bit because we haven't rehearsed it. We haven't made it work yet.
Of course.
So what we attempted to do was to make it readable for all concerned. And the interesting thing that we have here is we have these two very dense speeches where they're attacking other people. And this is interesting because you got people who are characters who are moving between various statuses. The first one is a confession to his father, and the second one is a Hail Mary attempt to shame a teacher and plead to not be expelled from this school.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes, which is interesting because, you also have to have the opportunity to play these characters. And that is not really because of you. That is really because you also, are worried to read about the others. And, that's why about what, the other plays are and how you can say, okay, that is the text that is gonna be good for me at that particular time, and that is not that easy.
No.
Alec Jacob says, sorry if this is a silly question, but how do you think he has such a depth of emotion to call on as someone so young?
It's interesting. Great question. Thanks for asking it, Alex, wherever you happen to be in the world. I think we all have that depth of emotion. The question is, how does somebody that young have the balls to put it out there? Because it's not so much emotion that we're looking at. What we're looking at is somebody who is in contact with what they're trying to achieve, even though they know it won't work or it won't. We have somebody who's not worried about being a good actor. That's really important. It's a little bit like a basketball player who always makes the hoop, a football player who always gets it between the posts, soccer, as it were. Is that what we have here is this happens, and we've all met these actors, that the actor is incapable of doing something which is insincere or inauthentic. It's one of the problems when you see The King, is because he's trying to do a type of acting that he doesn't do. Mm-hmm. He's trying to do something which isn't him.
Or he's forced to do it. I think he was forced to do it.
Well, that too, where he can't draw upon this authenticity that he has normally. Mm-hmm. In answer to your question, Alex, I believe it's because he grew up in a building, in a kind of collective commune of actors and creative people, musicians, writers, etc., in a building in New York. I believe he was always surrounded by creativity. I believe he was given all the right words of encouragement and given all the right opportunities. And what I think it is he's not so much getting in touch with emotions, he's getting in touch with the thing that he's trying to achieve at any given point.
Yes.
Okay? And reveal them shamelessly.
Yeah, no, it is like if you are in a context where, everything is, is going well for you, then, you can reach the goal, easier. And that is true that, that's why, rich people have kids that they are also successful because, they have, the context is good.
And they don't understand what it's like to hear the word no.
Exactly. So they just,
Mira, Alex has a follow-up.
Says, so, would therapy in your personal life help you be more transparent, or a procedure of preparation like Meisner also help him being so vulnerable in performance? No.
Okay, my issue with Meisner is I believe it's very useful in the early days of actor training. Meisner, who never wrote a book on acting, in fact, we could argue that Meisner didn't teach Meisner technique. Meisner technique was something that people picked up who studied with him, who read the book, which was written by somebody else that he merely wrote the foreword to. But he had never actually formalized what his complete philosophy was on acting. It was harvested, it was culled from people who'd been in his classes. One of the issues with therapy for the actor is that if the therapy really, really works out, then you're not going to have to be an actor. Being an actor fulfills, what it does is it fills a space where something is missing. It scratches an itch. It plays into a particular useful weakness that we have that makes us what we are as actors. Also writers to a degree, but particularly actors.
Yeah, I would say that we take the weakness and we go into strength thanks to the characters, no?
Yeah, it's something that allows us to be, at least in this particular moment, in control of what the hell it is we may be happening to do. No? That's kind of what it is. And in terms of therapy, look, I think therapy, if it's positive and useful, is very useful in your life. As an actor, not entirely so. I would never tell somebody not to do it, but I wouldn't suggest that somebody doing it would make them a more effective, dynamic and competent actor. Meissner technique, I think it's too many stages to get to before we actually stand up and start talking to each other. That's one of my issues with Meissner technique. The repetition technique, which everybody knows, is useful for a short time, but it's certainly not something you should be doing for hours and hours and hours. If you need that to liberate what you're saying consistently, then Houston, we have a problem. Because you're not able to authentically connect with what you're saying and say it like a normal human being.
Of course.
Okay, so those are the things there.
It can be useful for certain people in a certain moment, I think.
But the other thing I think I want to say to Alex and everybody else who's here is the reason we're interested in what he's doing is not because of his emotion. It's because his connection with what he's trying to achieve, what he's thinking, and what he's trying to do.
It's the need of communicating, not the need to show that he is moved.
Yeah.
It's very, very different. And you can see that right away from one actor to the other. The actor that really is deep into
it's something I've said a lot in classes. I'll look an actor in the eye and go, I don't care what you feel. I only care what you do.
Exactly.
And that is pretty much a good way to approach things. It's like, go, what am I doing here? What am I trying to do? What am I trying to do in relation to them, in relation to myself, in relationship to the universe?
You know, you can see a plan. You can see that they are, the chosen actions are really also with a technique of having emphasized certain parts of the monologue. You see that he's speaking with three entities: himself, the gods, let's say, and the things that they don't have a justification or an explanation, and also to himself. You can see also the relationship that he has with what he's saying. We see that he's courageous, that he's how you call it, that he's not trying to impress. He's looking for authenticity all the time, and what is nice is these tricks that he has of magic, that is also part of his technique. He leaves the audience also the space enough to actually feel, think, understand, and that is something that also is impressive for someone that young. So it gets a while to understand these things, and that only can be able to do. One can be able to do it because it has a context of creativity that allows him to push the right buttons.
But one of the things is never confuse what you feel as an audience member, what the emotion that you feel, which might be reproach, it might be shame, it might be sympathy, empathy. Don't confuse that with what you see in front of you. Remember, the objective is to make the audience feel something. Okay, that's what we want them to do. We want them to feel something, and the way we make them feel things is to empathize with our action, not empathize with our emotions. That's kind of a thing there. Alex follows it up by saying, where am I? Just asked because other great actors, Paul Mescal, Irish actor, is very open in his praise for therapy and helping his craft. I'm sure, as I always say, the reason that you have an actor, the reason that an actor is is because they are already broken. It's very hard, and we've worked with thousands of actors, that it's very hard to find an actor that does not have some form of trauma in the earlier part of his life. Usually,
And sorry, I'm going to add something here.
Mhm.
I think youth and adolescence, is when you are aware of this broken soul that you have, So it's not only the actors, it's everyone. The only thing is that they extend it and find it useful to compare themselves with other writers and other experiences that you can read, like theater plays or movies, and you find that a reason to actually finding the truths that you need for yourself. And it's true that with this is a period of adolescence, and lately I'm thinking, well, what's happening then when you are 50, and you've done already so many roles, and well, you're always looking for another one that is going to be best, that is going to be much more complete, and you want to do that with other people because it's nice to create in a team. So that's the motivation for an actor to continue their career, but it's not in the 20s and 30s is a motivation, and then it changes over the time because this need of finding the truth, well, if you didn't find it in the 30s, you have a little bit of a problem. So the idea is that you not only are reacting about things, you also are be able to be around and create your own things. Through the creation you get more rounded, so you don't need to express to really demonstrate who you are, or these things that happens when you are 20s or 30s. So I think that is for me the acting, just let me say that for me the acting career is very interesting because it can actually go into a full circle of experiences and give yourself a lot of knowledge about yourself and about the others, because you listen also a lot about yourself and how to help others, and how to make them laugh or moved.
Because ultimately all we're trying to do is entertain, after all. Alex says, sorry, this isn't much related to Timothée Chalamet. Don't worry about it, because we're here to talk about acting and actors. But in both your personal opinions, what is your suggested method to call on previous emotions in scene and still be present and authentic? Alex, I'm going to say it again. Don't think about it. Don't worry about it. Play the action. Play the thing that you want. Play the thing that you want in opposition to the obstacle which you find in your way. We never do anything unless we're trying to overcome something. That's a very, very useful way to look at anything. You ask for a coffee once and they ignore you, you're a little annoyed. You ask for it 50 times, you'll be in abject rage. Emotions, whatever they might be, are analog. They fall onto a spectrum which start in intensity of action and the weight of the size of the obstacle. When things happen that there is no way out of, we lose something, somebody dies, whatever it might be, that is absolute action finding absolute obstacle, which usually results in some kind of emotional stalemate. The way to create, or how would I say, stimulate emotion, is to be in action. If you're doing the right thing, if you're trying to achieve the right thing in relationship to the person, whether it be external, somebody else, yourself, or the universe, by trying to do that, what will happen is emotion will happen organically and you won't have to force it. It's really important. The other thing that we had is something that Assumpta talked about in the first place, which is the idea of an emotional state. Emotional states we could consider that are effectively hormonal states. Mm-hmm. Okay, you can't stay in character, but you can at least remain in the state or be in the state before you start, because you're involved in a kind of hormonal forest. That's where you are. If you're sad, if you're stressed out, then you'll have more cortisol. If you are in the mood for a fight, whatever it might be, then you're going to have more testosterone. But before boxers go into the ring, they're not reading poetry. They're psyching themselves up and listening to metal.
Yes. Yes. Emotional states are an interesting thing because, it's not emotional state only crying, Emotional state can be a lot of things and that you can do before you actually, have a take or do a take or you are on stage. The thing about the stage, and is different about film, is that in stage you have the entire play that helps you because the entire play goes through emotions, or it goes through parts of the life of someone that they are really understandable, and they have their own curve and a period and an end and a finish, and first act and second act and third act is all structured, so you can actually by playing the entire play, then you can find these spaces when you need to prepare this emotional state, and you know what's going to happen, and then you create that. But from the movies, in the movies, you have to start from zero.
And very often out of sequence. I remember coaching on a TV show, and the actress there was a scene where she was happy, and then she got bad news, and then she was devastated. It's like, how'd you prepare for that? How'd you prepare for a moment when you're devastated in the middle of a scene that you're about to act? Like half a page in, when you're like, oh, this is fantastic, and then you get the bad news. There's like nothing you can do. You can't pre-do the job. It's like Alex asks here, which is an interesting question. Therefore, would you, during script analysis, would you consider emotional state, or does that only happen once you get to the set/rehearsal? Well, you're going to have a rough idea of exactly what the tone of the scene is when you read it. Okay, if you've got a guy on the floor and you've got your arm cocked back and you're going, "Where is she? Where is she?" We know that we're not in a particularly relaxed state. Most emotional states are usually quite apparent. When you're analyzing the script, when you're looking at it, go ask yourself, "What am I doing here? Am I explaining? Am I justifying? Am I confessing? Am I sharing? Am I what else?
Informing?
Am I informing? Am I avoiding? Am I distracting? Whatever it might be. Take that, play it hard. And the emotion will come out. And in terms of emotional states, it should be relatively apparent what's happening everywhere. You might make a complete mistake, but if we're talking about a film script, it might be there. Okay? Sort of like Alex comes in. He's slightly stoned. He's way too relaxed. He doesn't even notice that the other guy's in the room. All right? Alex, oh, I didn't see you there. All right, so we kind of have an idea of where we are there.
Yes,
right?
And it needs
in
the script that is needed because you have to imagine the scene, and you don't have the poetry that you can have in a play. So it has to be really stressed, because that is what the writer wants to communicate. Normally but the emotional state is something that a lot of times it gets into a place where you also will have to control. It's not that we get the emotional state and that's it. No. It's emotional state plus technique. And this technique is the plan that you do with your analysis of your text.
We got to remember that technique is there for when inspiration fails us. Okay, it's the thing that keeps us honest. The idea of technique is there should become a point where technique should become instinct. Okay, mm-hmm. But when we feel like we're lost and we don't know a way to approach or start something, ask ourselves, what are we doing, mm-hmm. and how are we going to get there? So do you want?
No, thank you very much, Alex, for your questions. They are very nice.
No, it's the reason that we do this. Is that we always? I know every person on YouTube says we want this to be a conversation. No, literally, that's one of the reasons that we've done more than 500 of these, is because we enjoy engaging with it.
Yes, and we have people that really thank you.
And also the other thing which is very important, and this is an important thing for anybody who's studying acting or is in acting classes, is that very often you'll have a question that the person who is training you or working with you doesn't have an answer to. they should be honest and tell you that they don't have an answer, right? Instead of just saying, you should just do it, don't question me. That's a terrible way to go about things. It's like when you're probably one of those actors that people say, you should stop thinking so much. I was one of those actors where they said, stop thinking so much. That doesn't work. You can't tell people to not do something. It's like not thinking about elephants.
Yes.
Right? It's like telling somebody to concentrate.
Yeah.
I got to concentrate. Yeah, of course you can't concentrate. You're concentrating on concentrating. That means you're not concentrated. That's just the way it works. Instead of somebody telling you to stop thinking so much, what anybody who's worth their salt will do will offer you something more interesting to think about. Right? Particularly on camera, the most interesting thing is what the actor is thinking. Because that's all we're ever interested in. When we're speaking to somebody, all we're trying to do is to change the look on their face to see whether they've understood what we were talking about. That's why we're talking. Because we want to see that they understand us. And we'll keep going until they do. That's what we do in life, is we're trying to see whether their brains are in agreement with our brains, with their idea is the same idea that we're giving them. That's all it comes down to. Sometimes we do it to ourselves, and sometimes we do it to the universe in one way or another. And that's a much more interesting thing to think about than trying to not think too much about thinking about things.
Yes, generating questions.
Perhaps I'm overthinking that.
No. No, generate questions is something that is always, our job is how we do this piece of text that is going to be more revealing, interesting, kind of, revelatory of things. And that is our job. It's like the scriptwriter when he writes that, he dosifies. Doses.
Dosify is a word, I believe. Dosificar.
Doses exactly what information we have to give to the audience, right? When it's a script, and that in good scripts you can feel it. That is so very well thought out. So the actor also has this mission, of letting the space to the audience to actually be able to write their own story in their head, and that is something that you do by sharing your thoughts, by being always honest and authentic, and by really directing him into a zone that is your mind and your body, and whatever you are there, you are really committed into it.
It's a mess, because when acting teachers or whoever says stop thinking so much, what they're really doing is stop thinking of difficult questions which I don't have answers to. Mm-hmm. That's really what it is. It's Edgardo J. Arrieta says that's brilliant, offering the actor something else to think about. It's really what it comes down to is as the actor, is unfortunately we spend too much time thinking about acting. What we should really be contemplating is what we're trying to get, what we're trying to achieve, and how we're going to try and achieve it. And the actual very fact of thinking about something is that you can read what somebody's thinking. You can't read their mind, but you can read a thought. And on camera, sharing something so the audience or the person watching the screen can read our thought is really the key to doing something exceptional. Because when the audience is observing what you're thinking, they're literally leaning in to what's going on. And that level of interest is something that you find in all very competent on-camera actors, and certainly something you find in movie stars, is that what they have is they have something which makes us more interesting.
Yes, and even there is something that in these things that in these pieces that we, bits of acting by Timothée, we really didn't get into his more powerful tool, which is charm. Charm is what he has.
His charm.
And
that is a commodity, a very rare commodity.
But it's also what gives the audience the need of see you more, right?
Yeah, it makes us like them.
Yes.
What is it exactly? Mira? Look, I'm speaking Spanish. One of the things I would have to say about charm is, if we're worried about, imagine you go to a bar or you're at a party and you see somebody very attractive and you're attracted to them. If you try to impress them, if you try to look good, if you try to seduce them, you will almost certainly fail. What you need to know is that what you've got going on is something that anybody would be interested in. And just by that very nature, that is incredibly seductive and it's incredibly charming.
Yes, it's when you say this thing of, when you are advising an actor to really, I have a secret.
Oh, yeah, that it's that concept when you have your photos done, right? When you have your headshots done, try this. Try this the next time somebody takes a picture of you, or take a picture of yourself. When you do it, think to yourself, I am beautiful and I have a secret. Just think that, but mean it. This is something that Spencer Tracy used to say. So what do? Just, plant your feet, say it like you mean it. Jimmy Cagney said, you plant your feet, look the other guy in the eye and tell the truth.
Yeah.
Both very, very simplistic but very, very direct.
Good piece of advice.
Very good pieces of advice. One of the things that we've discovered is that sometimes actors who are very competent, who know exactly what they're doing, are not exactly the best people to try and explain what they're doing.
Yes.
And sometimes you get actors who don't want to share the trade secrets.
Yes.
Look, Alex also said,
thank you for answering them. You've both been very helpful. I think it's quite evident. I'm new to this all, but I found your answers to be very insightful. Thank you. Thank you, Alex.
Alex, don't worry about it. Everybody's very new to it. There is no real magic bullet. There is no one single technique. There is nothing like that. There are basic things, which are, what am I doing? Why can't I get it done? Right? Action, no obstacle. That goes all the way back to Stanislavski. He discovered that, and Stanislavski was nothing more than a dedicated amateur with a couple of brain cells. He knew what he was talking about, and it was the right moment that it should be discovered. Strasbourg, who took the first...
also a very humble person who actually said in the end of his life, my goodness, what did I do before? Had nothing to do with what I wanted, what I know now.
One of the things that he did with the books that Strasbourg based his entire method on, which is funny for us because the majority of people who are accused of being method actors have never studied the method. That's a given, whether it's Christian Bale or Daniel Day-Lewis, or there's a whole range of people, or Joaquin Phoenix. They're method actors. No, they're not. They never studied the method. Do you know what I mean? It's like being accused of a French actor and you don't speak French. So the most important thing is to try and work out what we want at any given time, what we're doing to get it, explaining, justifying, confessing, whatever it might be. Play that with commitment. There's other things which are useful things to contemplate, which are, what's my relationship with what I'm saying? What am I really trying to get achieved with the other person?
Who am I speaking to?
Yeah, who am I speaking to? Where am I? What's my relationship with them? What's my status in this particular story, etc. There's a ton.
All this is going to be in a book.
All this is going to be. There's a ton of different things. There's a ton of different things.
Yeah, but not that many. I mean, there are things in rules that, in principles that they are working, that they work, and that is what we want to put you everything.
One of the most powerful things is to try and hide the acting. Is to try and convince everybody that the words you're saying are your words, your thoughts, your ideas, your intentions, your inactions, and all the things that you are trying to achieve. Hypothetically, if you're doing your text, if you're doing a scene or a monologue or whatever the hell it is, a soliloquy, if you can do it in the metro, in a bar, walking down the street, if people think you're just in conversation or speaking to somebody, all is good.
You won.
The minute they think you're acting, then there's something wrong.
Bad.
Bad. Look, let's finish it there today.
Yes, it's 9:26. Wow.
It's 9:26. Let's finish it there today. Remember, please subscribe to this channel. Hit the little bell. We're going to be here every Thursday talking in English. If you speak Spanish, Por supuesto, vamos a estar aquí en otros momentos de la semana.
If you want to know something about video books and you have
showreels.
Showreels.
Yeah, if you got a showreel, send it to us. You can send me the link to scott@familiadecine.com. You can send me that, or if there's no link so far, you can also send me a file by WeTransfer, and we can review it live. If you look at our playlist, we have a playlist which is all in English, and you'll be able to see where we've reviewed other people's material. Giving people, I think, pretty good advice on what they need to do, what they need to get rid of, what they should put there, what they shouldn't put there, and really what works best for each particular actor.
Look what Ian says. I've been watching your podcast from time to time for years. It's true, we are here for years. My late acting coach gave me the most unconventional yet effective acting advice I never thought I would hear anywhere else. Your podcast is the only acting podcast that has striking similarities to his acting philosophy. Listening to you both is almost like a continuation to his lessons. Okay.
I can think of no greater words of flattery than that, Ian. Ian, we reviewed his showreel, God, a year, must be at least 2 years ago now. He's got an amazing voice. He's got a beautiful voice, Ian.
And Edgardo says, I love the quote about charm. I will keep it close to heart, and if you allow it, share in social medias assured. Brilliant. Thank you, guys.
Feel free. Just let them know where it came from.
Yes,
it's very important. Francisco, who's in Pasadena,
says, thanks for your knowledge and kindness. Great couple. Advised. Always very, very helpful with your advices. Thank you.
One of the things that we start out with, and we always say this, is when we work with actors, we start with the principle that you're a genius, that you're perfectly capable of being a completely real and authentic person 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
That is something that I wanted to say. You know, one thing that relaxed me a lot about acting, and I think I learned that, early in my career, was, wow, the people really want to see. It's not that I have to force anything to them, in movies. They really want to know what is in this head of mine or in the head of the other actor. Really are interested into, it's a lot of, for me, was also very relaxing to know that I don't have to push anything, that the people really are curious. And it's something after, with all these years that I've been teaching, that also is something that I really think, every single person is a wonderful world to discover. And is so moving because everyone is so different, so diverse, and even if they are so diverse, everyone, to discover their world is fascinating.
But there's another thing which is curious, that we are all so radically different, and yet we have so many similar things in common.
Yes, and we're looking for these things. We're looking exactly in the mirror neurons to find out all the time, who is me, who am I, who is he, what he wants.
And I think this is one of the things that drives us crazy these days, that people are always, they're always attempting to force the importance of identity on us, whatever it might be, whereas throughout all of the, how would you say, the creative arts history during the 20th and now the 21st century, but for the most part, is that people who are great at what they do are capable of transcending any form of identity.
Yes.
And it's a little bit like when you're writing. The more precise and detailed you are, the more universal it becomes.
Yes.
And that's the same thing in acting. The more precise and detailed, one of the great secrets of comedy is detail and precision. And what that results in, that combined, it's almost like the melody combined with the tempo of the melody. And the complexities and the baroque nature of the melody is the thing that makes us laugh. It's a surprise that we have. It's a short circuit inside our heads because we expect it to go 1, 2, 3, 4, but it actually goes bananas, right? It goes something like that. So this is one of the things that we always suggest to people: be kinder to yourself. Don't tolerate fools too much. Remember Don't let the bastards
deconstruct you.
Don't let the bastards grind you down, for Christ's sake. That's really, really important. And what the other thing is that somewhere, and they both happen to be sitting in a house in Madrid, know that somebody out there believes that you're capable of doing absolutely genius work. Being an actor is not being an artist. An artist is something that's open to debate, something that we could discuss all day to actually really understand what the nature of art is. What we are is technicians. We are craftspeople. We are people who do a very technical job. And like any technical job, if we do it well enough, it will be mistaken for art. Okay? Very often we do it in the context of something which is creative, something which is by its very nature artistic. But our job there is to represent a truthfulness, an authenticity, and that comes from
With
us.
commitment.
It doesn't come from the creation of something over there. It comes from us.
Yes.
One of the things that happens particularly with British actors, because I instantly identify who somebody is by the way that they speak, is that we're always compelled to use other accents and other ways of relating to people. It also means that we're highly sensitive to the concept of status, high status, low status, whether it's the teacher or the policeman or the judge or the Oxford professor or the homeless person, whatever it might be. You're Scottish, you're from Yorkshire, you're from the East End of London, you're from a neighbourhood in Dublin or whatever it might be, that you can instantly recognise where people are from. The issue is that we have to be able to understand our own authenticity well enough so when we come to place those accents, be they verbal, vocal, physical, or cultural,
Accents.
because those are all other types of accents. And we come to do that, we still manage to maintain what we could accuse of being authentic. And that authenticity, well, only you know what it is.
Yes.
That's all.
Thank you. Let's go.
Thanks very much. Well, all I can say is thank you to Alex, to Edgardo, Francisco, Ian, and Pollo,
Alex,
who's over there.
thank you very much
Thank
for
you
all
for your questions
input.
and thank you for stimulating this debate, this pushing, debate and discussion, because there are really no stupid questions. And if anybody makes you feel stupid for asking a question, well, they're bloody idiots. No, it's true. This is a minefield. It takes a long time to try and get your head around all this sort of stuff. One of the problems that I always find with technique is when people start to understand and explore technique, they begin to lose track of the thing that they used to be able to do without thinking about it.
Yes. So it's a delicate balance. Really.
I don't know anybody who left drama school thinking that they didn't know less than when they started.
Yes.
Because what you've done is you've begun to identify the things that are supposed to not work.
Of course, and do it right. That's why you are in a school, right?
Yeah, but nobody can tell you how to do it right. Nobody has the balls to tell you how to do it right. You know why?
Very few, yes.
Because they don't know.
Yes,
most
they
people don't know.
didn't do it themselves.
Because they didn't analyze it. They didn't investigate it. They didn't define it. Anyway, that's why we're here.
Bye.
Bye for now. We'll be back next Thursday. Back tomorrow in Spanish. And as we say in English, in Spanish we say mañana más y mejor, but here we say onwards
and upwards.
That's the one. Yeah, well, anyway, so after show. Yeah, it's really fascinating. I remember very clearly being a young actor and asking my teacher, why is that? Particularly about sense memory. Because I was trying to work out, is this really just self-hypnosis? Are we just hypnotizing ourselves? Which is really what it is. And he was like, stop thinking about it.
Just do it.
Yeah, no, but I want to know. I want to understand it. And this is one of the reasons. Look, we're working on this book right now called The Science of Acting. Right? If you want to know what method I would recommend is our method, which is the scientific method, which is a kind of fun, clever title as far as I'm concerned. One of the reasons that we are doing it is we're trying to distill down all of this nonsense to try and work out what the fundamentals of what makes acting effective, dynamic, useful, and repeatable. That's what we're trying to do,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And one of the things that I cite is if there's no answer to the question, then perhaps we should try and find one. No? Don't you think? Well, you got the lemon, you got the imaginary lemon, you can smell the imaginary lemon. Don't you think that's an interesting thing to try and work out what the hell is happening there?
and there is things that you can create with your imagination that they are wonderful. You know, I remember, you know, like actually saliva going on in my mouth when you imagine something. The imagination is such a powerful tool that we have, you know, to imaginate ourselves in circumstances.
I would. Do you know what the example I would give? If you're a person of the male persuasion, if you're a man, if you watch one of those videos on YouTube, those fail videos where there's a guy on a skateboard and he goes down, you know, like a banister, he goes down some rails, and he smacks himself in the crotch. He just does a like that. You watch that and tell me that you don't feel it in your balls. You feel that. Now, why do you feel that? You're not actually getting smacked in the testicles, are you? But you feel it. There's something in our imaginations which is capable of reproducing, of imagining so profoundly that we actually feel that. Now that's a much more interesting thing than trying to taste or smell the bloody lemon, because that's completely abstract.
It's interesting because today when I was in the way to the interview with a taxi driver, was a Uber driver. The guy was, "Oh, you're an actress, okay? So and how do you kiss? I mean, if I kiss someone, I mean, my my wife is gonna throw me out. And how you cry?" So this guy was really interesting for me because it was the kind of what the others think about actors.
I actually think he was just coming on to you or something.
No.
Can you show me how? That's like what William Shatner used to do when he played Captain Kirk, and he would always have some blue-skinned alien who would be asking him, "Tell me, Captain Kirk, what is a kiss?" And then he'd have to show her.
No, but what I want to say is that he was interested on crying and kissing. Okay, that was the actual. And when I started to talk about
it's a great love life that the guy's got. What comes first?
See, no, and when I was talking about imagination and about humanity and about listening and all this, he was very. But but how do you kiss? Is it truth? Is it truthful that you kiss? So I mean, tongues. He was very.
Well, the question that what I would have answered him. Have you ever been given a meal or some plate of food and you tasted it and it wasn't good and you pretended it was? Oh, this is great, right? That's what we're doing.
I'm sure he did for his wife.
Of course, of course. But either that he's either going to kiss her or make her cry. That's the way it goes. But everybody does it to a greater or lesser extent. The difference that we do it when somebody says action, or when we walk onto a stage because it's time to walk onto the stage. But we do it. We do it to order.
We do it in.
We do it to. But everybody is capable. We all do that. It's something that David Mamet talks about in his book True and False. This idea that the idea of imagining terrible things is innate to human beings. It's the way we protect ourselves. We protect ourselves for future disaster. We already do dress rehearsals. What it is, we go to the doctors because we've hurt our ankle and we fully assume that they're going to tell us that we've got cancer in 6 months to live. That's what we all do when we're waiting to pick up our. When we're waiting to pick up our friends and family from the airport, we imagine that the plane's going to crash, right? We do that as well when we're on. I don't know. Is it just me? I always imagine the plane crashing.
Yes. No.
When a plane's landing, I'm like, this is such an unlikely thing. This doesn't make any sense. But from the other side, I remember we were going from Paris to New York once, and I remember we were about an hour and a half, 2 hours out of Paris, and it went. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Just to inform you that we happen to have lost an engine and we were going to have to return to Paris-Orly. Right? And everybody was like, "Oh, God, we got to go back to Paris." I'm like, "Go back to Paris? We're missing an engine. Am I the only one? With the crazy pills here? We're missing an engine." And I was like, everybody was like, "Oh, God, we got to go back to Paris." My relationship with Paris wasn't as bad as it is now. Now I understand it. They were like, "Oh God, this motherfucker, we're gonna have to go back to Paris. Oh God, can we not just chance it with the engines that we got left?"
please.
Maybe if we could just push it a little harder there.
Okay, let's go.
All right, let's go.
9:41. Bye, darling.
Night night for everybody.
Bye bye.
Bye for now.